What's happening? It's the afternoon on Q101. My name's Jesse Paculat. Thank you for allowing me inside your ears. It's a very special day today. We got the Q101 Spotlight, and it's on Avery Raquel. She's with me right now. Hello, Avery.
Hi, how are you?
Great. What's happening with you?
Not much.
Not much, huh? Good. Avery Raquel, coming from Hamilton, Ontario. She's the writer and performer of that song, Come Right Back to You. Fantastic song, by the way. I've been playing it last week, all week long, every single day. Currently number 20.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's a really good song. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it debuted number 3 on the iTunes Canadian Top 200 R&B chart. I said 23.
Number 3 or 23? I thought it was 23.
23.
So,
23.
has it climbed up any spots since then?
It hovered there for a pretty long time, and then I don't know if it's still on the chart yet or not. I haven't checked in a while.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty nice feather in your cap, you know. Debuts at number 23.
Yeah, I'll take that for sure.
That must feel pretty good.
Yeah, it felt great. It means that a lot of people were supporting me and pre-ordering and stuff like that, which I was pretty happy with. So,
Avery, you're still pretty young. You're 16 years old, right?
yes, I am 16.
You're 16 years old, but here, I was reading your bio. Here are some of your influences. Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, Billie Holiday. How does that happen? Were your parents really into it, or was that a product of just YouTubing, going down the YouTube wormhole?
Partially, a little bit of both. I started singing jazz when I was about 7, but it was introduced to me by my parents, but I loved the idea of it, so I kind of took it upon myself to learn more about it. And I've been singing jazz since the age of 7, but now my style is kind of transitioning into what we're calling contemporary soul. It's kind of a new take on a vintage sound for all my new stuff coming out soon. So
Right, you want to get into the mainstream a little bit.
yeah, and it tends to be hard to do, especially with jazz, because a lot of young kids my age aren't usually interested in that style of music, but I feel like finding a close medium will help kind of bring it back a little bit more.
Absolutely. I can dig the jazz stuff too. You know, I like instrumental jazz as well. I interned over at Jazz FM a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really fun station to work at.
It is super fun. And like the first album that I put out, Life Lessons, that was all jazz. And then the second one, Without a Little Rain, which is the most recent one, is more contemporary soul, but still with a lot of jazz undertones. And for this most recent one, it's going to be all originals. That's the last one with 6 originals, but this one's going to be all originals, and I'm really excited about it. And they're all in the same style, so I really can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Yeah, so that'll be the album that includes Come Right Back to You?
Yes, it will. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what else you got.
Yeah, I'm excited to show people.
As you mentioned, you started at a very young age. Your passion for performing, as I understand, started when you saw Annie, Little Orphan Annie. Learned all the songs, learned all the dance steps, and you performed it for your parents.
Yeah, that all started when I was about 4 years old, and they saw something within what I seemed to be very interested in, and we kind of just took it from there, and now here I am, I guess, yeah.
You see what happens? Yeah, tomorrow. You love Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
So at 7 years old, like you said, you got into singing. You also got into acting. I see you were in a pilot. It was called Falling Skies, executive produced by Steven Spielberg. You made a special note on that.
Yes, yeah. That was a really cool experience. Doing the whole acting thing was kind of actually how I started, and then it transitioned into more stage musical theater, where I was doing Mary Poppins for a really long time in Halifax and for the Drayton Theatre Company. And then after that, I wanted to really focus on my music career and really dig down and see what's possible.
So you were doing some on-stage performing. You started in The Secret Garden, I see on your social media there. So that was pretty fun, but you wanted to focus more on the singing.
Yeah, well, I started, as I grew up, I started entering that stage of life where I'm too little to play the big kid and too big to play the little kid. So I thought, well, if there's nothing out there for me right now, then I may as well really focus on something I'm passionate about. So that's how we got into more of the music route. Good
move, I have to say.
Yeah.
When you were really young as well, you also did something for Disney?
I did, yeah. I was in a Disney animated series for Disney Junior and a couple other station channels, and it was called Ella the Elephant, and I got to play the voice of a little elephant. So
a baby elephant. Well, I know
Yep.
I know friends of mine. I'm 30 now, and I know friends of mine that are still so into Disney. So I mean, that's a dream job for anybody. I could imagine for a kid.
It was a lot of fun to do. Yeah.
I imagine it was. Okay, so you figure out that you want to get into the singing thing, and you did various jazz fests. You sang at various competitions, and you won a lot of various competitions. Easy to see why.
Yeah.
Do you really enjoy the competing side of this?
Well, whenever I'm in a competition like that, it's more just get myself out there and show people like what I can do, and I'm not really all in it for winning, I guess, ultimately. And I also like meeting new people as well, so it was a good way to meet other artists and listen to their stuff and see what they have to offer as well.
Well, absolutely, but I mean, it is a competition. You don't have a little bit of that killer instinct to win?
Maybe sometimes, but not all the time.
But it is there. I read this about you too. People really underestimate you in these competitions because when they see you as a polite little young girl, but then you start belting out and your voice, and then everybody gets blown away by it. Do you like that? Do you like surprising people?
Yeah, it's fun to play around sometimes. I mean, people condescend me a lot where I'll show up at some gigs and some sound people will say, "Oh, so this is a microphone and this is how you hold it." And I'm like, "Oh, no kidding, thank you." And then I start singing and they're like, "Oh, just kidding, it's fine." So it's a lot of fun to play around with people sometimes, but even when people ask me, like, "Oh, like, what's your job?" Because a lot of my friends work at, say, Tim Hortons or McDonald's or have a part-time job, I always say I sing, and they're like, "No, really, what do you do?" And so I kind of have to explain to them that this is really what I do. But it's a lot of fun to mess around with people sometimes.
I see what you mean. On a much smaller scale, when I entered the slow pitch league a few years ago in my last town that I lived in, the guys, they weren't really expecting much from me, but I belted one way over the fence. After the game, they were like, "Man, we did not see you as a heavy hitter." I'm like, "Well, here I am." So I know exactly what you mean.
Yes.
So let's get a roll call. What jazz festivals have you competed in?
At the festivals of recent, where I've done the Toronto Jazz Festival with the Jazz FM Youth Big Band, and I also got to do Niagara Jazz Fest, South Coast Jazz Festival. I've been at the Brantford International Jazz Festival. Some are from what I've won. Some of them were with the Jazz FM Big Band because I was their vocalist for a while, and then some of them are just doing my own thing. But last summer, I actually even got the opportunity to sing at the Newport Jazz Festival, which in Rhode Island, which was a really cool experience because that's a really big jazz festival to sing at, and that was with that was in cooperation with Berkeley College of Music because I got fully scholarshiped into a program there where it's just a weekly program and they accept 50 kids from around the world to go, and I was luckily chosen, and at the end of the week we all got to perform at the Newport Jazz Festival, which was really cool.
You were one of the 50.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so you go to that, and again, they kind of underestimate you a little bit, and then you surprise them a little?
A little bit, yeah. They didn't really know what to expect, but every single kid in that program fully deserves to be there. They were all super incredible. Like, I didn't know what to expect from anyone else either, so I was a little skeptical myself, but seeing everyone and listening to everyone, it was just an incredible learning experience.
So yeah, you get into these competitions, people, and it's a great thing when people underestimate you, as we were just discovering, and it has to do a lot. I've heard a couple of your interviews, and it has to do with, your talking voice versus your singing voice. It seems to be pretty different. Your talking voice, it's like your appearance, polite, maybe a little bit timid, but when you're on the stage and you have a microphone in your hand, you just own it. You're so confident. You sound way beyond your years.
Thank you, yeah.
When some people go up on stage, they get kind of nervous, but for you, it's kind of a safe place.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting going up on stage and performing in front of others because not only because it's what I love to do, but I like seeing people's reactions when I do it because, like, the objective of my music is to make others feel my music and to see their reactions. It's really reassuring for me. If it's super positive, then the show I know is going to go really well. And I kind of have like a split personality where when I'm not on stage, I'm just Avery, and when I'm on stage, I'm Avery Raquel. And my friends start to understand that now too. So there's Avery going to school, and then there's Avery not going to school, and it's really cool to just not become someone else, but kind of just a different persona that I'm able to portray in front of others.
I know what you mean. On a smaller scale, I can identify with that a little bit. I talk on the air all day long. You know, when I'm off the air and I'm with other people, I mean, sometimes even people tell me, man, you don't really talk all that much. Well, I'm not at work right now, man.
That's very true.
Talking with Avery Raquel today on the afternoon. Avery, you got that Facebook page, and I gotta say, I love it. It's great for R&B nerds like me as well. You're not just posting you're not just posting great old songs. You're also doing, a lot of on this day stuff. So it seems like, even if it doesn't work out with the singing, you look like you have a future on air as well. Because on air people, they love to do on this day stuff. On this day, 1952.
Yeah, I'm very interested in what happened in history in terms of music, especially.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I don't know when it happened when I was a teenager. I mean, it was out of school, so it was a little later than you. You got into this stuff a little earlier than I did, and I guess it was in college. I really got into funk, and that's when it started with R&B and soul and all that stuff. What do you think about that music made you sort of gravitate towards it?
I don't know. I have a big love for horns. For some reason, some people think I'm crazy, but all that stuff from the 70s, like, I wish I grew up in the 70s with all that music, but unfortunately I didn't. But I listen to it on a daily basis, and I have a love for Motown, funk, grooves, everything like that, and like really early R&B, like real rhythm and blues. I love it, all of it.
I hear you. Sometimes I have a hard time explaining it to my, for instance, my hockey buddies. You just have to feel this music, boys. You got to feel it. Like, come on, where's the rock? I mean, you feel that too, but you really feel soul. You get a lot of that.
And don't get me wrong, like, I love listening to like all those 80s hits because I know my dad always plays them in the car and all that sort of stuff. So I sing along to them as well, only because they're around me most of the time. But I don't know what I would do without the 70s style and the blues and stuff.
Well, people say that, I wish I grew up in the 70s. I don't know, man. I love the music from then, but I don't necessarily wish I grew up then. I mean, look at all the technology we have these days. We wouldn't have that.
That's very true. That's very true.
But we still get to listen to that music.
Of course, yeah. You
know what I mean? When you go on YouTube for older music, there's always like a comment that says like, this is what real music is like. Like if you're listening in 2018, like, who cares when you're listening? It's, if you like it, listen to it.
Real music for sure. I always think the most authentic way to listen to music is through vinyl. I have so many vinyl records that I love listening to.
Oh, you're a big vinyl fan too, huh?
Yeah. And a lot of stuff on the next album is really influenced by that time period and that style of music. So lots of horns.
And I guess it did eventually influence you to become a songwriter. Your last album, you said, was all originals? 6 originals, 3 covers on the first endeavor into songwriting ever. Right, and this next one is going to be all you.
Yeah, this one, me and my co-writer, Greg Kavanaugh.
Right, when you write with Greg, because I was reading about that as well. And I've worked, because he's kind of like a mentor to you, in a sense as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I've worked with teachers and stuff that I kind of looked up as mentors, when they want to work on stuff with me and you just want to get a task done, and instead of doing it for you, they give you these vague clues to help you, do it yourself. Is that what kind of Greg does with you when songwriting?
Well, our songwriting process is maybe a little different than what others. I don't know. I've never actually written with many other people, but songwriting with him, we sit down, he whips out his guitar, and he tells me to hum a melody, and I will, and he follows me with regards to chord progressions and as to where he thinks I'm going with it. And then once we have a steady form set in place with the chords that me and him have collectively chosen, he sends me home with that. I come up with melody, lyrics, and harmonies and instruments that I want to put in it. I come back, we record it, we record some demos, and then we bring in real instruments, and that's how we do things.
Just like that. But you do get homework.
Yes, but it's fun homework.
I mean, what I meant by that was, sometimes with those vague clues, like I could be with the teacher and I'd be like, well, what's the answer to this? And, they could say something like, well, Jess, if you look at the moon, maybe you'll find the answer. Well, just tell me. Just tell me what I should write.
The writing, all the lyrics and stuff like that. That's all. I mean, it's all based off of my personal experiences. Greg has no input in the lyrics, but he helps big time with instrumentation and chord progression.
So it's all based on your personal experiences. That include "Come Right Back to You."
Yep.
Wow.
Yes, it does.
Seems like you've lived a lifetime already.
Yeah, no, it's all, I only write from personal experiences only because I wanted to relate to other people and how they might be feeling. The whole album is the evolution of a relationship, believe it or not. And the first song is called What You Are to Me, and then it goes all the way down to Who I Am. So it's like all in chronological order of how this relationship went through. So
it sounds pretty deep, man. Because when I was around that age, I mean, I probably would have wrote songs about how homework sucks, how my parents don't understand me.
They do a pretty good job of understanding me, so I have nothing to worry about in that field.
Teenagers aren't really supposed to know that yet, though. So continuing in that theme, just 16 years old, you're kind of like, do you feel like a lot of pressure on yourself? Are you kind of like a prodigy talent around your area? For sports fans, they could think like this, the pressure on, say, a guy like Connor McDavid, such a young guy, but people think he is the next big thing. Do you kind of feel a little bit of that type of pressure?
I try not to, and especially with school and stuff like that, that's my main focus besides my career. They kind of go hand in hand. I have really supportive teachers and supportive parents and supportive team behind me. But with regards to pressure, I try not to feel it because my job is fun. So I really have nothing to be completely worried about. But pressure doesn't scare me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think it just should push me to do more with my career. So
you embrace it. Of course, as far as the individual performance goes, I know one time you experienced that classic performance nightmare. You're in the middle of a song, and you had to stop. You had to turn to the band and ask them to start over again.
Yes, I didn't want it to go completely south. So, but it's a really hard song to sing. It's called Airmail Special, and that was at my show in Halliburton, and I screwed up, and I turned around and I stopped the band and I said, can we maybe just try that one more time? Because I want it to actually go right.
And the audience was cool with it?
Oh, yeah, they're always cool with it. I think messing up is what makes me human.
Right.
So it relates to them more, and they think, oh, okay, so she can relate to us. She screws up sometimes, and I think that makes things a lot better. I mean, sometimes in shows I'll take my heels off halfway through and sing the rest of the show barefoot, just to relate with everyone a little bit more and feel more comfortable and show them my personality. And stopping the band that night was kind of showing them a little bit of me and how I'm a perfectionist, but I wanted it to go well.
Sometimes you take your shoes off to get more comfortable?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, for sure. I'll do anything that makes me more comfortable.
Oh, okay. I guess if it's more comfortable, man, it makes you sing better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I gotta keep connected, gotta get the air flowing.
What do you like better? Regular chips or rippled chips?
Rippled.
You like chip dip with your rippled?
Yeah. Yeah, well, if it's plain. If they're plain. If they're not plain, then they're fine on their own.
Yeah, I agree. Regular rippled chips are really good with dip.
Yeah. Like the onion soup mix dip, that one's always good.
Onion soup mix dip? I don't think I've tried that.
Yeah, you take onion soup mix and you pour it into sour cream, you mix it up, and it's actually really good.
Oh, I like onion soup.
Yeah, quick party trick.
So you're a big-time songwriter now. You wrote that song, Come Right Back to You. You recorded that song. Was there a moment that you kind of realized to yourself that it was good? Because I can relate this, I guess, to, back when I was a dirty vandal in my teenage years when I used to like that graffiti stuff. Sometimes I would do a piece and I would think to myself, that's pretty good. I think I did a good job there.
Well, I never really know if it's good or not until I get audience response. And when we first put it out, I got a lot of comments on it and positive feedback, a lot of positive feedback, and I still do continue to. Whenever I perform it live, everyone asks me, when's that song going to be on your next album? Like, when is it coming out? So I think just the day that it dropped was officially the day where I was like, oh, people really like this song. I'm really proud of this.
Sound like a pro. The day that it dropped. But, before you got all those comments and stuff, but, you recorded it and it's being produced and everything. You're listening to it for the first time. Before you get any feedback at all, what were your thoughts? You didn't think to yourself like, all right, I think I got something here.
Well, I have to say I am a little biased, but I did think it was a really great song, and I was very excited for people to hear it, because that specific style, like the Motown style, is really in my pocket, and I was listening to it, full orchestration, everything, and really liked the way it came together.
That live version is fantastic on YouTube. Just love listening to that one.
Thank you. Yeah, doing that video was a lot of fun.
Just took me back to my college days when I would, frequent the Rex, that jazz bar in Toronto there.
Yeah, I love the Rex.
Yeah, lots of great big bands, big horns over there, and yeah, it's just a great place to go. I love that live music. I love the live vibe, and especially live music that sounds like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and the horns on that video were from a band called Brass Transit, and they're a Chicago cover band, so they were pretty world-renowned, pretty cool horn players. They were so good at that video shoot, so I was very lucky to have them backing me up.
Do you think it was more difficult to, say, be the lead at the Secret Garden, or do you think it was more difficult to sing in front of 47,000 fans at the Skydome?
Definitely the Secret Garden. Yeah. No, I'm serious, because it's everything. It's acting, it's singing, it's dancing, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
But singing the anthems seems like a cup of tea to me.
Yeah, cakewalk, 47,000 people, screaming and hollering, waiting for you to screw up. As long as you don't do that, you're fine.
Yeah, as long as you don't mess up, then no one will get mad at you.
Remember if the Blue Jays won that game?
I know they were playing Tampa. But I think they did. I can't remember.
They did. They probably did. Get them to invite you back.
Yes, I hope so. That was a lot of fun to do.
Talking with young Avery Raquel today on the show. The Q101 Spotlight is on her. Avery, people are listening to this interview and they're thinking, yeah, she sounds like a fine young lady, and they've heard the song. Maybe it sounds really good. They don't know where to find out more. Where can they find out more about you?
They can go to averyraquel.com. All my social media is on there, my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram, and my YouTube. It's all on there. Also, there's performance dates on the calendar on my website, and you can sign up for an email blast, and I'll send you updates about me, I guess. And so just averyraquel.com.
Listen to you. You're on your way, man. Not just a great singer-songwriter, but also a student of the game, evidently. If you do go on her Facebook, then you'll see cool facts about old artists and stuff like that. Avery, it was fun. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.